Now on to the fun part. Step number 5 in this series is embracing your personalization. We're going to go over a few things and I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can personalize your smart home. So let's get to it. So quick recap. Step 1 was defining your vision, where you decided exactly how you want your smart home to act and things you want it to do. Step 2 is prioritizing your needs, things that you really need it to do to be effective and efficient. Step 3 was choosing your ecosystem, whether you want to use Google Home, Amazon Echo, which is Alexa, Apple HomeKit. You can also use products like Homey, which if you subscribe to the channel, you're going to catch the video that I'm going to have out here probably next week, maybe the week after. And I'm going to go over that Homey system because it looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. And I think it combined with like Google Home is going to be a great pairing. Then step 4 was to start with basics like light bulbs, smart switches, smart plugs, things like that. And now step 5, embrace your personalization. And this is really where it gets fun, because now that you have all these basic things in place, you have your smart bulbs, your smart switches, you have some smart plugs, you have your hub that you're going to use, whether it be Amazon, Google, HomePod, which basically determines the ecosystem that you're using. So all these things are in place now. And now you get to have a lot of fun really tweaking things to do exactly what you want them to do. For example, if you have a motion sensor that you put in, you can now custom that sensor to turn certain lights on or off when you walk in and out of a room and things like that. When you come home, you want certain things to come on when you come home or open the garage door. Now it's time to really just kind of focus in on some of the real specific things and how you want to customize it. You can create personalized routines, specific tasks based on your schedule. You can integrate the smart devices with some of your other systems that you might have in the house. Like for example, if you have smart plugs that you have a TV attached to, you can have the TV come on in the morning when you wake up or shut off at a specific time at night when you're going to bed. But really this gives you the opportunity now to just sit back and enjoy the convenience, the enhanced comfort and efficiency that you've implemented in your new home to make it a smart home. It's kind of like enjoying the fruits of your labor. Now that you're all done doing all the hard work, now you just get to enjoy it. And a lot of these things are going to be kind of set it and forget it, right? I have specific tasks that I don't change that task. I don't change that routine. Once I set it, it just works. I don't have to do anything with it. So those are the kind of things that you're going to want to figure out in how you want to set your routines up. I have several routines that are by voice command where I tell you know who, because, you know, Google's listening over there. And if I say, hey, you know who, it's going to activate, and I don't want to do that. So the things that aren't voice controlled, as far as the commands I give it, I have set up with motion sensors and things like that. You know, really the main thing, and like I talked about in the beginning, is this is really about your convenience, and it's about simplifying some of the things that maybe you do on a normal daily basis that now you can automate and just make your life more convenient and a lot more fun. I know it's fun for me. I really enjoy it. My wife enjoys it. And I can tell you when things don't work, like occasionally you'll have something act odd. She really wants it to work. So I hear about it. So I have to make sure it's always working. But one of the things is that if you use quality equipment, you set your systems up correctly, you make sure you're naming your rooms properly, and you're setting those routines and commands, you really don't have any problems. I mean, it's very, very rare that I have any kind of situation. Most of the time, the problems I have are like if the power goes out, things have to reboot. Sometimes I have to power cycle a device to make sure it gets reconnected correctly. But that's not the fault of the device. That's just kind of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with things that are electrical, that when the power goes out and they have to all reboot, sometimes you might have to power cycle something to get it to fully reconnect. But you just want to be able to enhance the overall quality of your life. And these basic things, these basic steps that I've given you are a great place to start. Now, by no means is this all you can do, right? These 5 steps were just meant to kind of give you a good base foundation and a good base understanding of where you start and how you implement. But man, really the sky's the limit on what you want to do. You know, there's a lot of people, I have actually some neighbors that have like year-round lighting that goes around their house. So that way, as these different, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, which is coming up, they change their lights to match the holiday or whatever event is happening, which is kind of cool. I personally don't want to do that, but it does add the option to where you don't have to hang Christmas lights every year. They're already there. You just simply change how they're working. Maybe add a few additional, spotlights or something if you want to accent something during the holidays. So there's really so much you can do. Of course, I added some nice color to my patio, and you can see right here that I've got some lights that are kind of strung over the top. And I also have a light strip that goes around the patio, and it looks really cool at night. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. But to me, designing a smart home is really an exciting kind of journey. And it's something that I really enjoy coming up with new ideas and new things. And that's one reason why I kind of started this channel, is because I wanted to be able to show those who might be a little scared maybe to, implement some of these things, not sure how they work, not sure where they should begin, because it can be a little confusing. There's so many different options out there. You just have to find the ones that fit your needs, that you can tailor to your lifestyle, and that you can customize to do what you want it to do. Now, I will say, unfortunately, the smart home products and ecosystems and functions are very segregated right now. There's nothing that's really super uniform, which is why I'm going to be testing out this new Homey. And this right here is the Homey Bridge. They actually have a Homey Pro, but I'm going to test this bridge out first. I'm going to configure it, and I'm going to connect it with my Google Home to see how well this works. I think the addition of that with Google Home is going to really give me some great control over my devices, to where I can use a singular device to actually control them. Because the Homey, you can do Zigbee, you can do Z-Wave, you can do Bluetooth, you can do Wi-Fi. It supports all of the protocols. And so a lot of these devices that you have to use this app or that app, you don't have to do that. You can simply add that device directly to the Homey ecosystem. You then connect your Homey into your Google Home, so that way you can still use your Google Home to control the Homey devices using voice commands. And you can do this with the Amazon Alexa/Echo devices as well. So I'm really going to be looking forward to getting that tested, and I will definitely be putting a video out on that whole process. I'm going to get it unboxed. We're going to get it set up. So you'll definitely want to hit that bell icon and come back for that video, because it's going to be pretty awesome. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you really enjoy this content, I sure do appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot when you do that. And I try to bring good, information. So I'm hoping that it's helping somebody get their smart home designed and developed. If you have any questions, don't forget to hit me up in the comments section. I'll be happy to help any way that I can. And you can also click the link in the description to pick up this PDF. That way you can have something to reference. You can always come back to the videos, obviously, on the channel, but you'll also have that PDF that you can reference. It kind of just gives these bullet point steps in, where do you start? How do you implement? How do you configure things? And it just makes things a little bit easier to get started and simplified. Now, one thing I wanted to correct, or not really correct, but I wanted to add from the last video. In the last video, somebody had commented that the Google Home will work on an iOS or iPhone. And I failed to actually mention that, and it made it sound like that it only worked with Android because of how I kind of laid it out with, Google Home and Android and, the HomeKit with Apple. However, that is absolutely 100% correct. You can actually use Google Home with an iPhone. My whole point was you have to have a Google account to use the Google Home ecosystem, which obviously if you have an Android device, you're going to have a Google Gmail account, because you have to have that to, activate your phone and use Android. So consequently, I kind of made it sound like it only worked with Android, but that is not accurate. And I'm really glad that that viewer brought that to my attention so I could make that clarification. So if you are an iPhone user, you can use Google Home to implement your smart home and use the Google Home ecosystem to control it with the voice assistant. I know some people that actually do that. It works just fine. You don't really have any issues because, again, you're signing into your Google Home with a Gmail account. So it doesn't matter if it's running on Android or if it's running on the iPhone. I guess, again, my point was you have to have a Gmail account in order to use it. So I appreciate you bringing that up to my attention, and I wanted to make that addition to the last video that yes, iPhone users can use Google Home and HomeKit. Unfortunately, Android users cannot use HomeKit. That has to be used with the HomePod or an iPad or an iPhone in order to use that. I also had somebody make a comment about how, there was much more powerful systems, and, everyone talks about Home Assistant. Home Assistant is kind of like Homey. However, it's a little more of a technical type interface. That's really the best way to say it. The whole point of this channel is to simplify the smart home setup for users that don't want to be programmers, right? The average user is not going to go out, buy a Raspberry Pi, custom, access the interface and have to, use the IP address to get into it. And I mean, as a technical professional, it's not a big deal for me to do that, but that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about simplifying things. And while, yes, you have to have, an account with Apple, you have to have an account with Amazon, you have to have an account with Google if you're going to use those particular ecosystems. And it is an online type function where your devices have to communicate with those online ecosystems to function properly. Whereas like the Homey and the HomeKit, the Homey and the Home Assistant do give you, kind of off the grid, so to speak, control. So if your internet was down, you'd still have control over your home. The Home Assistant is complicated. I've looked into it. I've kind of toyed around with it, and it's not something that the average consumer is going to be able to just go out and do. Can you learn it? Sure, anyone can learn it, but the whole point of this is that who wants to spend the time becoming something they're not? Not everybody wants to be an IT professional to learn how to program their smart home. Now, the Homey system, I have a lot of hopes for because it has a very easy to understand kind of user interface. The way you configure the, routines and things like that, they're called flows, where you basically drag and drop. I want this to do this, and then this, and then this. And it looks to be really, really simple. And it does give you the ability of having control over your devices within your home without internet. And it does allow you to have a device and a system that you can use to add devices to, and you don't have to, necessarily use these, manufacturer apps and things like that to control them. Now, Home Assistant and Homey, they don't have their own individual voice assistants. So if you want to be able to use voice commands, you're going to have to connect it to either, your HomeKit, your Google Home, your Amazon Alexa, things like that, in order to use those voice assistants with the Homey system. But that is optional. If you just wanted to use routines and you wanted to use, sensors and motion detection and things like that, or even geofencing, because you can set your phone up to where when you get close to your home and it actually can, reach out because it does have internet connection, right? Then it'll do certain aspects and routines and things like that when you come home. So again, I'm hoping that the Homey system is going to be simple enough for the average consumer to be able to go out, buy it, create their account, set up their home without too much complication. It is going to be a little more granular in control, which is great. So we're going to test it. I can't wait to actually get it unboxed and get it set up. But again, the whole point of this channel is to simplify your smart home, not make it more complicated, not make it harder for you to do. Most everybody either has a Apple account already or they have a Google account already. Because if you're on iPhone or Android, right? So you can definitely use one of those two systems for sure. Because most people are going to have that. Most people have both, right? So you have options. How many people use Amazon that have iPhones or Android, right? So you can use Amazon Alexa and you can have either one of those systems. So there's a lot of options out there and there's a lot of ways to keep it simple. My main point that I want to make in regards to these online systems like Google Home and things like that is to make sure you secure your accounts. Very, very, very important. Don't just put some easy to remember password that's easy to breach or hack. Make sure you're using the additional securities like two-factor authentication, passkeys, things like that those systems support, because that's going to keep your devices, your smart home, your email, it's going to keep those things protected. So the average person can't just log into your account and take over your cameras or get into your email and things like that. I am going to be doing another video that's just strictly on the security side of things because I think that's a very important aspect that's a lot of times not really talked about, but it is important. And you do want to keep things simple, but you want to keep things secure. And that's the best way of doing it is controlling what you can control by adding these additional two-factor securities and things like that. Very important. And these 5 steps here give you a nice foundation to get started, to get implemented, and to configure it and just enjoy it. It's really about enjoying these added benefits and features and making it more convenient and just making your life, again, you just add some fun. There's a lot of things that I do that I think, to me at least, they're enjoyable. They just add a level of fun to it. So if you have any questions, don't forget, hit me up in the comments section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that I can. I hope the series that we've done here, these 5 steps, have been helpful for you. Definitely let me know in the comments section if you've enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit the old thumbs up. Also, don't forget to download your free PDF, which again is basically these 5 steps in the PDF format in addition to the videos. And if you'd like some one-on-one help, there's also a link there where you can schedule, a 30-minute video session with me that we can talk about your situation, your environment. You can ask me questions. You can show me certain aspects of what you want to do, and I can certainly help guide you in getting the right devices to implement in your smart home to do what you want them to do. Because again, I know it can be a little confusing. There's so many devices to choose from. Sometimes it's hard to pick the right ones. Even I have a hard time so many times figuring out what I want to get because there's so much out there and it's only growing. It's only getting bigger. Devices are getting smarter. And so it's just going to be a really fun time, really, as we move forward through this whole, smart home process. So I want to help you implement and have a good time with it. And I want to simplify your smart home process. I want you to enjoy your smart home. And if you missed the last video, you can go watch it right here, and we'll see you next time.